are using golf to sports wash Saudi atrocities and threatening to ruin the professional game should be a gimme for the powers that be in golf. Instead, sadly, it has paralyzed them. All these years, they had golf clubs in their hands when someone should have given them a moral compass. So, what's up, guys? Welcome to 80/20 Sports. I'm your host, Alvin Holden, also known as Project 80/20. We're going to talk about Tiger Woods for a split second. He's back in the news from it's kind of an interesting story. You know, we're just going to touch it on this one really quick. Some interesting things is happening in the golf world. We all know how famous Tiger Woods is, being one of the first Black players, and he definitely revived golf, professional golf, and kind of took professional golf to a level that it hadn't seen before, which again is unheard of. Maybe it was the love for Tiger, maybe it was hate, who knows? Irrelevant. Anyways, his career is also obviously winding down. I would love to see him get a couple of more wins before he hangs up his clubs. I think he's got, maybe a major or two left in him, who knows? But something pretty interesting is happening. There's out of Saudi Arabia, which is also, again, very interesting because Saudi Arabia is kind of the secondary default for boxing lately, mostly because of the money and the soft rules and pliable moral compass that they have over there has allowed for some rule bending that wouldn't be possible in the United States and or Europe, which is why a lot of boxing is going there, and it's looking like golf is attempting to do the same thing. So before I get super duper deep into this, it says Tiger Woods tries to save pro golf as its leaders are lost, helpless versus LIV Golf. Now, I looked this up. LIV Golf is a new-ish company, and I'm gonna breeze through this really quickly, just so that you have an understanding as to what's really going on. Because if you don't really get this part, then you'll never know or not understand. Basically, it says LIV Golf or LIV Golf. We're just gonna call it LIV Golf is a professional golf tour financed by the Public Investment Fund, the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia. The name LIV is a reference to the Roman numeral 454. The score if every hole in a par 72 course were birdied, and the number of the holes to be played at LIV events. The first LIV or LIV Golf Invitational Series event started on the 9th of June 2022 at the Centurion Club near London, England. The Invitational Series is to become the LIV Golf League in 2023. The organization itself, and again, I hate to do this to you, but this is why it's important. And also, you can wiki this stuff. I'm just wikiing it, and I'm doing the legwork for you. Look this stuff up yourself. The early framework for the new golf tour to rival the PGA Tour became public in 2019 with an announcement of the league to be known as the Premier Golf League. The PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan, responded by implying that the golfers who choose to play in the new league would be barred from PGA Tour events. Later in 2020, the PGA European Tour and the PGA Tour formed a strategic alliance to work together on commercial opportunities, scheduling, and prize funds for each of the tour's membership. The Premier Golf League held talks with Saudi investors in the financial partnership, but Gulf Saudi, the division of the Public Investment Fund, instead funded a newly formed entity in 2020, which had its own plan to establish a global professional league, often referred to as the Super Golf League. This entity formally launched in October 2021 as LIV or LIV Golf Investment. The former professional golfer Greg Norman named CEO. And that's this gentleman here, former champ. Greg Norman is an Australian entrepreneur and retired professional golfer who spent 331 weeks as a world number one in the 1980s and 90s. He won 89 professional tournaments, including 20 PGA Tour tournaments, 2 majors, and the Open Championships, 19 so on. So he's a decorated golfer. The inaugural season of or I guess since it's 54 is what is supposed to be Roman numerals, so 54 Golf Invitational Series features 8 54-hole no-cut stroke play tournaments. Final team championship set to be a seeded 4-day, 4-round match play knockout event held at Trump National in Doral, Miami in October 2022. That's what's supposed to happen. In June 2022, it was reported that 54 or LIV Golf would evolve the following year into a league format with a 14-event schedule, 48 contracted players. On the 27th of July 2022, Norman announced that LIV Golf would implement a promotion and regulation system featuring a ranking list and a 4-player relegation out of the 48 contracted players. The league has a prize fund of $405 million. Its events are scheduled to avoid competing with PGA Tours, majors, and international team events, broadcasting rights, and then we're going to get into the actual thing here. In 2022, the LIV Golf Invitational Series is streamed live on Facebook and in YouTube. 2022, LIV Golf signed worldwide broadcasting deal with video streaming service DAZN, dying. Additional deals with signed in following months, including Service TV in Germany, Austria, 11 Sports in Italy, and Chiaro Sports in Latin America. So basically none of the major networks will be covering this as of now. So very much live stream and apps. So Facebook, YouTube, and DAZN has an app. They do boxing and do a lot of other sports. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Triller vibes that's in there. Essentially what's happening is quite a few major players have jumped into this league thinking that it's not that big of a deal. The PGA is not excited about it. It seems as though this is oil money with a endless bottom, and the PGA absolutely positively will not compete from what I can tell. Let's start with this article again. It says, men's golf is back in the news for all the wrong reasons. Lawsuits are flying like Phil Mickelson's tee shots. Rumors continue to swirl about who will be the next player to escape the shackles of his multi-million-dollar PGA Tour life, no comma, for the warm embrace of Mohammed bin Salman. Golfers who used to be pals are angry with their former playing partners. Tour players are holding unprecedented meetings. The 4 majors don't have the courage to take a real stand, and some golfers who left for LIV Golf have already sued for the right to come back. There's only one man who can save pro golf now. He's done it before. Perhaps he can do it again. I really, really, really think this is a profound statement and should be looked at. Not as it's not true, more like it's true and should be mentioned more often. There's one man who can save pro golf now. He's done it before, and perhaps he'll do it again. Tiger Woods limped off his private jet on Tuesday in Philadelphia on his way to Wilmington, Delaware for a meeting with a group of top players at the BMW Championship. Someone with the knowledge of what went on in the meeting said those in the room with Tiger were in full support of the PGA Tour and doing everything they can do to strengthen it. Tiger's agent, Mark Steinberg, texted that Woods wouldn't have anything to say publicly about the meeting, but according to Greg Norman, who happens to be the sports personification of self-centered greed perfectly cast as LIV Golf CEO Tiger turned down the offer from LIV that was in the $700 to $800 million range. So we already know exactly where he stands. Ice cold. Let's read that again. But according to Greg Norman, who happens to be the sports personification of self-centered greed, perfectly cast as LIV Golf CEO. Jesus. Tiger's visit to Wilmington came at the same time that LIV golfer and the 2018 Master Champion Patrick Reed filed a lawsuit against the Golf Channel and commentator Brandel Chambly, claiming that they have conspired with the PGA Tour to defame him. He is seeking more than $750 million in damages, in other words, LIV money. The hits just keep coming. What a mess this is, said Stade. Country club pastime of the ladies and gentlemen have exploded into all-out civil war. I can't lie when it seems as though rich people are being bullied by richer people is a little bit funny. I digress. What if instead of going silent as Mickelson and Dustin Johnson bolted to LIV back in June, the organizations running the 4 men's majors have spoken up forcefully right away, threatening banishment from the Masters, PGA Championship, US Open, British Open, or actually banning Phil, DJ, and whoever else joined them right on the spot. That certainly would have gotten the attention of all future LIV escapees. The so-called leaders of golf did nothing of the sort, of course, instead standing by as the floodgates opened, watching the game they used to control descend into unprecedented chaos that confused and infuriated fans, unsettled sponsors and TV networks, and generally ruined the sport's summer. I mean, does this not sound kind of like a pouty child? Am I wrong in saying that? Kind of sounds like a spoiled child, but whatever. I'll come back to that. Wondering if any of the big four feel differently now. I emailed representatives from each of the majors Tuesday asking if they have banned LIV golfers from their 2023 events. It would be premature of the PGA of America to speculate at this time. Augusta National, home of the Masters, didn't reply. Here's another what if. What if golfers were more like tennis? In other words, if golf lived in the real world where minorities, including women, have been welcomed and encouraged for generations, where dozens of athletes have taken serious social and cultural stands, where the game has reached into every corner in society. Unfortunately for golf, it was built in the twin pillars of discrimination and exclusion, willingly walled itself away from others. Today's leaders, almost exclusively middle-aged white men, came from this cloistered background. So when asked, even required to scramble to adapt to the fast-paced development that depends on their actions and their outrage, they find themselves well outside their comfort zone and mostly lost. Taking powerful action against the men who are using golf to sports wash Saudi atrocities and threatening to ruin the professional game should be a gimme for the powers that be in golf. Instead, sadly, it has paralyzed them. All these years, they had golf clubs in their hands when someone should have given them a moral compass. Okay, like I said, I think it's interesting how wealthy people are getting kind of punked by wealthier people, which I think is kind of funny. And the ability of these gentlemen to control their situation is kind of funny. For Saudi Arabia to come in and pull everyone away with just money and what seems like a want or need to do something different, because it's not like LIV is just trying to take the golfers away and not providing anything in return. From what it seems, and from what I can dig around, it seems like at least these guys are trying to find more creative ways of getting these guys to compete, and kind of mixing things up a little bit, which I don't really disagree with. And unfortunately for the PGA, oil money, they just got deeper pockets, and it's possible for them to do what they do. But again, you run into this situation where, in a lot of these other sports where these leagues were able to keep their athletes on the plantation, trying to tell a bunch of rich white men that they can't go and do whatever the hell they want to do and sign contracts with whoever they want to sign contracts with is a tough sell. It's a tough sell. Now, will LIV and the Saudis create a great enough product so that they can actually stick with it, who knows? DAZN got into boxing and they're not doing so hot. So there is a chance, I believe, that the rest of boxing has subverted DAZN's development in at least in the United States by various different ways. I think of business maneuvering and contracts with people, so on and so forth. I think that DAZN has been undermined by the other powers that be in a lot of different ways. I know Triller tried to get into boxing and it didn't really work. It hasn't been working that well for them, mostly because, you know, once the good old boys circle the wagons, it's hard to get anything done. In this particular case, what it looks like is that by the time the Big Four and the PGA got themselves together and realized what was happening, you know, there was a lot of money being offered by Greg Norman and LIV, or 54. I'm calling 54? We'll call him 54. By Greg Norman and 54. And unless you're going to offer these guys more money, more opportunity, or any kind of security, I have a hard time understanding why they would want to come back. And it's, if you want them to stay exclusive to the PGA, you would likely have to pay them more. And I don't know if the PGA is prepared to do that. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to keep our eyes on this one. There's actually there's some litigation that is ongoing. I think it's kind of fluid, which is why I'm not really getting super duper deep into it. But I mean, there's restraining orders, temporary restraining orders. There's lawsuits up the yin yang and the wazoo. Like I said, these rich people do not like being told that they can or cannot do something. And so we'll see how this all pans out. Anyways, just touching base. I'm going to go ahead and end this now. Do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, share. The format is going to change a little bit. Things are going to move around. I'm kind of getting my feet wet and kind of understanding, you know, how this whole thing goes. So, you know, hit me in the comments, things that you liked, things that you didn't. I'm going to read all the comments and then stress myself out over it. So do me a huge favor, hit me up. Erykah Badu said it best. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.